Hi folks, I just want to take you on a tour of the responsive style sheet included in your package. Talk about some of the things you can do to tweak your website specifically for mobile devices, and basically just run through some of the updates you probably will need to make in the responsive.css to really target those mobile devices. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is some of the basic rules. Now the biggest rule in working with responsive design is adding images to your page. If you drag an image onto your page so it shows up in the page somewhere, like in the content area, you'll need to make sure that it doesn't include a height or a width. Let me just quickly demonstrate in a web editor. And this would go for any web editor, so I'm just going to use Expression Web, and just keep this in mind when you're building your site. If you were to put an image into the middle of the page, for example, we're going to add an image somewhere right in here. I'll just go into my site folder, into my themed images, and drag one of the portfolio large images over. There we go. Now I've added an image to my page. Now by default, your web editor will probably add a height and a width to the image. Okay, you can double click on it and go to the Appearance tab and specify width. Get rid of that, which is the easiest way to remove a width. In Dreamweaver, you just go to your Properties tab down below and remove any height and width attributes that are added in there. And that's probably the best way to add a picture. Just make sure the picture that you put in your page is sized and optimized for the page. Don't take a large image and try and shrink it down using the HTML or the image property tags, because that's going to have a negative effect on for your mobile users. Okay, so that's sort of rule number one. Images that you put into the page, just make sure they don't have a height and a width applied to them. Let this template and let the style sheet automatically size those images for your mobile devices. I'm going to save this page so we can actually see this in action. Right, so let's just preview this in a browser. Now, typically the first thing I do when I start building websites and I start to check for mobile is open up a page, and I just sort of resize the browser down a little bit here. I'm just going to close this background so it's not distracting. But I resize my browser down, and now you can see the image. See how it automatically sizes itself? That's exactly what you're looking for mobile design. Now, just sort of shrinking it's going to take a little bit of a, guesstimation here, but once the page converts over, pretty much this is what your mobile users are going to be seeing. Let me scroll to the top here. Right, here's a regular desktop view and a tablet view. As we shrink the browser down here, it converts. Basically, it's switching over from the full site to a minimalistic view designed for mobile devices. Mobile devices typically, or mobile users typically, come to your site looking for information. They want to find your contact information. They want to read an article you've posted. They want to know your hours of operation. They want to know something about you. That's why they're using their mobile site to learn, or they're using their mobile device to find you, so they can learn something about what you have on your site. So you want to give them information. Some of the things you'll see in the mobile style sheet, the Nevo slider, it's been replaced with a static image. Very important, because some folks may have 8, 10, 12 images in their Nevo slider. Trying to load that number of images into your mobile view just will not work for your visitors. As a matter of fact, we've scaled it down to loading just one image, so it loads quickly, and your visitors won't be sitting there with the little icon twirling around waiting for information to load into the page. The site will load a lot faster with this particular setup. Now, some of the things you'll probably need to do is resize the logo and tagline. You'll probably need to change the picture if you want to change the default picture. And you'll probably want to decide on which content you want displayed. Now, the best thing to do is display all the content, but for example's sake, we have disabled some of the containers in your page so you can see through the responsive.css how to turn them on and turn them off. And I'm going to demonstrate that in the video in just a minute here. So let's talk about resizing the website name and the primary tagline. I'm going to jump back into Expression Web. I'm going to go to my responsive.css, and you should have that open in your editor already. And the responsive.css is the same for all web editors, so it doesn't matter what tool you're looking at, this style sheet here is going to be the same for all. And I suggest when you go to update and make changes, you keep a page open in your browser like I have right here. Go to your responsive.css, and the first thing we want to do is tweak the text logo. Actually, let's start with a little bit higher than that. Let's start with the menu up top here. as you see, one of the features, the menu, the top menu up here, is converted into a navigation menu. Now, this navigation menu will actually use the device's navigation system, so it makes it a lot easier for your visitors to scroll through and find the pages in your site, and you don't have to really worry about big fat fingers not being able to click on little tiny links. So when you see this in a mobile device, you go, hey, that's pretty cool, right? It doesn't drop down like this. It actually opens up the device's navigation system. Very cool stuff. But if you think you need to reposition this because you have a graphic logo or something else on the page, you can simply tweak the second instance right here, or the mega menu. So if there's two things of menu here, just tweak the second one. Okay, and that would be the top position. So if we wanted this to be further from the top, we just change the top position. Maybe we'll make this 30 pixels. We save it, and then what we would do is just refresh the page here, keeping it the same resolution. Now we can see that it's bumped down a little bit. Maybe we want it over top of the blue bar a little bit more. We can tweak it even further. Let's make it 40px. Okay, and refresh. There we go. You can see how it's a matter of going to the style sheet, making a change, going back to your page, refreshing it to see how things are positioned. Now the website name is something else, and the tagline, those are two other things you'll probably need to change for your mobile visitors, because the website name typically is not going to line up nicely like this, nor the tagline, unless you have the same number of characters that we have in the demonstration here. To modify those, you would change the text logo, the logo tagline, and the graphic logo positioning. And you see how we have the top and the zero left and whatnot here? Yeah, that's sort of something you can fiddle around with in order to get it to display where you want. Change your top and your left positioning, just as I did with the menu up here. All right, let's just do an example. Left, let's say if we wanted it more to the left, we could put it 50 pixels from the left, and it's going to move it over just like that. Okay. Same thing for the tagline, and if you're using a graphic logo, the same thing. You'll need to position that the way you want it. Now, next on the list, I referred to the picture or the Nevo slider being a static image. To change that picture, just scroll on down, and it really depends on which type of component you have in the header of your page. Most of you will probably have the primary, the secondary, the Nevo slider, and you just go down and find the Nevo slider style right here, and all you're looking for is anything that says Portfolio Large 1 JPEG. Replace that with your own picture, okay, and do that for all instances of the Portfolio Large 1. So if you have a different image, replace it with that image name. If you put it in a different folder, change the path. You'll have to link it in there yourself by simply sort of scrubbing out the link and then using the pick URL tool right here to go and find where you've put that image in your website. And I suggest you do that for, now you'll see that we have the news viewer, the parallax slider, the video, all these different components in here. Your template or your site may not include all those components, so just change the, if you just have the Nevo slider, just change the Nevo slider. Now the cool thing is, even on the smaller pages, the secondary pages, we've pulled out the secondary and it loads in the same thing. All right. Next on the list, we talked about enabling or disabling certain specific regions in your page. For example, we have the What's New box, but we don't have the recent news or the recent events. Right? Down here we have the body content of your page, but we don't have the side menu. Now, as a rule of thumb, I would not suggest keeping the side menu in the page regardless. The reason being is, in order to use the side menu, somebody would have to come down to the middle of the page to find the navigation. Not very effective. Also, the side menu is still going to push out to the right. So that means they're going to have a hard time. If you have a lot of submenus in here, it's not going to work very well. That's just a limitation of a mobile device. It's limited to 340 pixels wide for most devices. So if you have menus that expand out past that, they're not going to take advantage of it. That's why we use this navigation tool up here, which does the job for you. It's above the fold. In other words, it's the first thing that your visitors will see when they get to the page, and they can navigate to your whole site providing you're using that tool. But we're talking about enabling, let's turn on the recent news and the current events, for recent events. So we're going to scroll on down and we're going to find right in here we have this info boxes to view a mobile, change visibility hidden to visibility visible, display none to display block. Okay, or you just take a look at the what's new and you copy this line in place of the other two right here to enable them. That's why we've left one of them on and the other two off, so you can have a good look to see. As well as your, let's do the info boxes as well for your index page. Right, now we're going to save our responsive.css. We're going to go back, we're just going to hit the refresh button, and boom, info left, info center, info right. Then we have the what's new, current new, recent news, and then the content of the page. So it's totally up to you on what you want your visitors to have access to when they view your site. As a rule of thumb, any developer who's been developing for mobile for the last year or so will probably tell you, well, you should keep the experience the same for your mobile visitors as you would for your desktop visitors. However, that's a general rule of thumb because you may have certain things in those containers that you do not want your mobile visitors to have access to. It could be advertising, and maybe you don't want to spend money on advertising to people that can't take advantage of it on their mobile phones. So you may want to disable that container. That was a question I had a couple of weeks ago from a member who did not want to have members clicking on advertising which he had to pay for on the mobile device, because once they went to the page where the advertising was going to, they weren't able to interact because it was a downloadable file. You can't download with your phone. So he didn't want to waste money on mobile visitors. Okay, that's sort of a reason for that. A little bit long-winded, I apologize. All right, everything else should just sort of fall into line for you, like so. Now, something else I'm just going to mention here is with the website name and the primary tagline. If you have a lot of characters in your website name, like a lot of letters, you probably need to resize that. So if you go down and find the logo font size, change to a lower number if you want if the website name is too large. And here's the font size you would change for the website name. We've used a percentage, which is a little bit different than using the pixel font size, right? Because it scales a little bit differently on a mobile device. We have it set 185 here. It could be 135 on your default setting. It doesn't matter. Just change it to a lower number. So if you're 135, try 100%. Try 80%. And we'll see. And it really depends on the type of font being used, because 80% on this particular font is just really tiny. You can't even see it, right? So it's just a matter of fiddling around with this until the website or the font size is a font size that fits into the page. So that way, if you have 4 words in your website name, they'll eventually show up here as you tweak it. Now, the other thing you'll notice is when we change the font size, it changed the positioning as well. So that goes hand in hand with what we talked about earlier, and that is your text logo, logo graphic and logo tagline and graphic logo. You'll need to reposition these. If you change the font size, you'll definitely need to reposition it so it fits into the page exactly where you see it. Like I said, a good rule of thumb is to just use your browser to start with, because it's a lot faster for updating, tweaking, and developing than trying to save it, publish this file up, look at it on your mobile device, and then, no, that could take forever, trust me. So really it comes down to just a combination of tweaking the positioning, changing the picture, determining which content boxes or sections you want viewed in your page, and making sure that the images, if you put an image into the content area of your page, that you do not include a height or a width. And I'm going to throw something else in there as well. If you use a table, good luck. Tables do not work well on mobile devices. Div containers work far better, or article containers, section containers if you're working with HTML5. If you're going to use a table, they just don't play well on mobile devices. I've looked at a few different situations and I haven't come up with a great solution because each one had specific needs. So that's just something to consider if you can.